Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like two tortas on a bike trying to get to 7-Eleven to get them a Slurpee and a chimichanga. And now that's some bad habits. Bye, bye. Or is it some fat habits? I don't know. But in a Menudo Stana direct fashion, man, we're back, right? We are definitely back. And I wanted to talk about a little something different. You know, I kind of wanted to give the history and the background on an individual that played a lot of roles that a lot of street people or people that are in the mix, shows that they've watched, movies that they've watched. You know, we all know about the movie Felon. If you don't know about the movie Felon, make sure that you tap in. It's a kind of semi-biographical. It's based on, or semi-biography or whatever. It's biographical. It's based on an individual that gets incarcerated that was there during the Corcoran Shoe Wars. Now, there have been individuals and there are guys, content creators that were actually involved in the shoe wars, man, that can tell you the extensive history. I've done videos on it. A lot of other people have done videos on it. I know Big Box from Paradigm Media was actually involved in the shoe gladiator wars, man, in Corcoran. So, you know, refer to his channel to get some background and some history on those. You know, that's basically, you know, a time in the timeline of, I guess, prison where cops, COs were involved in, I guess, betting, setting inmates up, you know, to fight, betting on them. Basically, gladiator wars, man. It was just a bad look all the way around. Now, anyways, this cat, you know, Johnny Lewis, he actually played in that movie. He actually was a skinhead in that movie. He had a small role, but a pivotal role in the movie because his misdeeds in the movie basically showed or basically set the course for the whole movie and the path that the main character was going to take and how he got involved in the shoe wars and all that. So, you know, this guy, Johnny Lewis, he's an interesting character. Very interesting, gente. You know, looking into his background, you know, because someone got at me, they were like, hey, do you know that cat, he actually killed somebody? He actually was involved in the mix, right? For a minute. I think it was more drugs involved. I think it was more his life was just crazy, but he definitely was involved and did catch a body. But let's trip out on his story. So, you know, if you don't know Johnny Lewis from that movie, then you might know him from Sons of Anarchy, where he played a half sack, which was a character, a beloved character by a lot of people, man, who was basically a prospect in the motorcycle club, was trying to get on, man, was doing everything he had to do to make his bones to get involved in the club. And towards the end there, man, you know, they kind of fucked with him and messed with him, but he was pretty solid, man, a very loyal character in that show. And then he died off. Now, the reason they killed such a popular character off, what come to find out, you know, he got into some beef behind the scenes with the directors and the people that were writing the script. He just didn't see eye to eye, man. And there was some shit that went on in the background. And his character was known to be explosive, man. Not just his character on screen, but the man himself. You know, coming from a lot of people that worked with him said that he was very temperamental. They thought he was on drugs, man. At any given time, he could blow up and that he basically had hands. I know in that show, Sons of Anarchy, he was like an ex-Marine or something with one ball, you know, one nutsack. But basically was handling his business for the club. He had hands. And in real life, that was the truth. So anyways, he played a lot of different characters. But the main character he played in life was himself, right? So the cool story about this guy, Johnny Lewis, was, you know, in Hollywood, he was not shunned, but people walked around him, not through him or to him, but around him. And there's a lot of people in life like that. I had a lot of homeboys, man, that even though they were the homeboy from the bottom of the hood, you just didn't want to be around that motherfucker. Hey, homie, is the homie going to be there? Yeah, hey, he's going to be right there. Yeah. I ain't going to go, eh? You know, I ain't going to go because fuck, there's always drama. One of those individuals where no matter what, there's always drama. We always have, all of us, we all have someone, a friend, someone in the hood that we don't want to be around because there's always something going down if that guy shows up. Party could be cracking, tortas everywhere, wine is being spilled, drogas are being smoked, according to whoever likes that. Bubblers burning. There's a lot going on. And then all of a sudden, what happens? Well, in a Menudo Stana direct fashion, I'm going to tell you exactly what happens. Exactly. These motherfuckers come through, homie. You know what I mean? And ruin everything. That was Johnny Lewis. So here's a cool story about Johnny. You know, just because you're in Hollywood and you're an actor and you're starting to elevate, you're starting to be seen and known and your character starting to be recognized doesn't mean everybody likes you. It doesn't automatically mean you're in. That's the crazy thing about Hollywood. You could be up and then you could be down. Same thing with this YouTube shit. At one moment you could be up, I'm in there, and then you could be all the way down. I'm there, right? So you have to understand in life there's ups and downs. Life is a roller coaster. That's just what it is. But it's the way that you play the cards that are being dealt. It's the way that you carry yourself. You dust yourself off and try again. It's the way that you carry yourself. This guy, Johnny Lewis, found himself getting involved in drugs, alcohol, everything that he shouldn't have, depression. This guy was going through a lot behind the scenes. If you look at him and see him and the characters that he was playing, they were basically having him play characters based off of himself. That's the best thing to do for an actor, is have them play characters that they can most identify with. Now, there's some like Al Pacino, of course, Denzel Washington, Robert De Niro, that could play fucking anything, all the way from a Cuban, Puerto Rican to a fucking Italian guy. They could do it all. But there's a lot of actors that can't, man. They only have one flavor, one style, and, but they're good at it. That was Johnny Lewis. So Johnny Lewis lived in Los Angeles. Okay. Cold thing right here. When he was let go of Sons of Anarchy, not even a few days later, man, his character was killed off and they did the whole memorial scene or whatever. He was actually implicated in a murder. He was implicated in a murder of his landlord. But even prior to that, man, he had several assaults. He was arrested for several assaults. I guess he beat a couple guys up, socked them up in the face, man. This guy was in a binge, man. He was spiraling out of control. He was literally doing his thing out there, man. And, that probably stems from your childhood upbringing, or that could have stemmed from, anything in his background, what he was going through. Maybe he was, depressed. He was losing a good job. Sons of Anarchy blew up. Everybody was watching it all over the world. So that could have been, one of the things. But trip out on this. So he's catching these cases. He's in and out of jail, man. Some of these assault charges, a lot of these lawyers were flabbergasted. They were befuddled, indubitably. How the hell did this guy get out on some of them charges? But I'm saying, it just happens. It happens. Some people get luck. Some people just get out. Some people they got money. If you got money, especially a Hollywood actor, you're going to get out. Unless it's a super murder and it's worldwide and everyone's tripping. A lot of these things that they get involved in, they get good lawyers, they get swept under the rug, they get a little probation, slap on the wrist, vámonos, they're out, right? Outskis. It's that simple. Anyways, this guy kept showing destructive behavior, not destructive to the community. He was beating people up, but more so to himself, right? So the story goes, a couple days after he's released from the Sons of Anarchy cast, they kill off his character. He gets in some type of argument with his landlady. Now, he lived in a home, I guess, in Santa Monica, an apartment or townhouse or condominium type building. I'm sure it was better than where I live. I'm sure it was better than where a lot of us live. He's having money, but he wasn't having money like you would think. Like you're watching this guy on TV, you're like, oh, he's just doing it big. A lot of these guys you see, they're really not, man. They might have a little bit more in their account than we do, but I'm sure he wasn't making millions. He didn't have M's, man. He had thou wows, but not MMs. So this guy, they get a call. There's a landlady dead, right? So as they're investigating, automatically, for some reason, they decide that he is the prime suspect. And then they hit a corner and they find Johnny Lewis dead on the concrete, to which a lot of people are saying he jumped out of the second-story window and fell to his death. A lot of people are saying it was suicide. There's other people that were saying, it was an accident. He was just trying to get away from the scene and fell and slipped. In either case, man, this is another Hollywood tragedy. Someone that spiraled out of control. Now, there's been a lot of these actors, a lot of people, man. And you got to understand, actors and people that are on TV are just like us. They're humans. They got emotions. They feel like we feel, and like I said, when you're up, man, you're feeling yourself, man. You're going places, you're doing things, you're being recognized. People are loving you. There's a lot of handshakes, a lot of shoulder shrugs and hugs. There's a lot going on. And then when you're down, no one cares about you anymore. You're nada. You're considered obsolete. You're ostracized from what's going on. You're no longer considered, in the circle. You're now detrimental to the circle. You're now obsolete to the circle. And that's what happens in life in general, man. People, there are people that have destructive behavior, people that have addictive behaviors. They need that canalismo. They need that friendship. That's why a lot of young gang members get involved in vaudous and hoods and gangs in the first place. A lot of them come from broken homes. A lot of them come from, being bullied or homeboys that, they nobody wanted to fuck with them. They felt a certain way. And then there are those, of course, that do it for the money, the fame, the girls, or whatever, political reasons. But a lot of individuals, man, do it because they have no other option to turn to, or they think they have no other option. There's always another option. There's always a fucking library. Go read a book, homie. You're going to read anyways when you're in the shoe. That's, I never understood that. Trip out on this. I remember we used to make fun of the nerds, what we considered nerds. Look at the vatos reading books, carrying books around. You know what I mean? Or the guys the jocks, all they do is work out and shit. Fuck that, eh? I'm going to increase my basic post up right here and just get my mons from bitches. I ain't tripping off none of that. And then what happened years later? You go to prison. You're an active gang member, man. Politics kick in, right? And now you're advised. You're not told, but you're advised, Holmes, to read, to educate yourself, to do everything you should have been doing in the first place, to do everything society was trying to teach you. Now you got another grown man, your peer telling you, hey, homie, educate yourself, educate your mind. You can't read, you can't write, learn. That's it. Learn sign language, learn different dialects of ancient Aztec languages, learn different things, and then you're being told work out, mandatory, at least an hour, Holmes. Dedicate to your mind and your body and your soul and your spirit so that way you're ready for guerra. So everything that you made fun of and everything that you tripped out on, you do. You're told to do. You're advised to do. I always tripped out on that, and you reflect back and you think, me being an ex-gang member that, wow, I did it anyways. All the shit I was making fun of and all the people I was clowning for doing, I did it. I was told to do it, though. See, they weren't told. They just took the initiative to handle it, because it was the best thing for their life. I went the other route, and then I was told it was the best thing for my life. Well, they were right. Everybody was right but me. And Johnny Lewis was the same way. It seemed like when he was up, and when he was down, he was down. So this guy ends up catching a body and then dies, man. And it was a tragedy because he was still young. The people in the cast of Sons of Anarchy didn't see it coming, but there were individuals that seen it coming. I got a homeboy, man, and I could see his demise coming from 10 miles away. Right. He was one of those individuals. If there was something going on, he always wanted to be in the forefront. He always wanted to be a gangster with it. He always wanted to be in the mix, man. And I just knew his time would come where he would either get stretched out doing all day because of the shit he was involving himself in, or he would actually catch a hot one, a bullet, not a hot one, like catch a hot one, maybe, right? But he was going to catch one because that was just a lifestyle, the path he was leading on. He was very destructive with his ways. He didn't care about his family, didn't care about his girl, his kids, anything. He used the gang and that mentality to cover up his emotional, distraught, what he was going through. There's a lot of guys that are depressed, a lot of guys that are going through shit, and they'll say face, homie, they won't show it on the exterior, but in the interior, it's crumbling. And that's what, I believe Johnny Lewis was going through. I believe on the outside, he kept that smile, that smirk that everyone loved on that show, Sons of Anarchy. But on the inside, he was dying, maybe being ostracized from the cast, maybe being fired. Or from what I heard, he didn't actually get fired. He kind of left the cast just based on they were having some technical difficulties. But that's neither here nor there. It happens, The cold thing is he caught a body. What led up into him killing his landlord? Wait up, my nose is itching. I might get some money today. Probably not. What led up into this guy actually catching this case? What led up into Johnny Lewis that whole night of what happened? And how did the officers automatically assume that he was the main suspect? I trip out on that. These vatos are good, man. They can figure shit out. You could be 10,000 miles away, man, and they're like, that's it. He's the prime suspect. And you are and shit. You're like, fuck, okay, how'd they know? I guess the investigation game is real, Educated. Is that fucking, oh no, that's just a piece of thing just flying around. I thought it was I thought it was one of the homies, an orb. So anyways, yeah, I tripped out going back. I just did a review, man, on the show Felon, the movie. And like I said, this guy, Johnny Lewis, played a part. He was the guy with the horns, man, the skinhead across his neck, the one that gets whacked on the yard. And I never put two and two together. I'm a big Sons of Anarchy fan, man. I watched that shit over and over again. You know, that's the show, that, the Mayans, all that. And I never pieced it together that was the same guy. And then when I looked close after reading up on it, I was like, oh shit, he just had horns, eh? Right? It was him. You know, some of these roles that he played, you know, were as real as they get. I could identify with these roles, man. I couldn't identify with the one in prison because he was just a fucking, you know, that played out the way that played out. He was doing way too much, but I can identify with people doing that. You know, I have seen people that do that play that hardcore role, or try to do more than they should. And eventually, you know, they're the ones that get figured out. You know, one thing that I know from prison, this is a fact, is that the guy with the loudest mouth and the one that's always that says something stupid will always be recognized for that. You know, there's heavy hitters on them yards, people that count, people that are really about the shit, man. And you only got one time to shine. You only got one time to befriend them, or one time to, you know, make an impression. First impressions count in prison. Anyone will tell you, man. Real ones will tell you your first impression is all you have, man. You go in there, and based upon the way that you're observed, the way you carry yourself, the way you act, and that first impression, that's all that matters. You know, after that, you'll forever be known. If you're solid and you stick to yourself, yeah, that's a good homie right there. You know, he's quiet as shit. You know what I mean? If you're fucking a loudmouth and you think you're tough, that dude, yeah, fuck him, right? That's just how it is. Real ones would tell you straight up, anyone who's been in prison, a first impression is very key to how you're going to determine to how you're going to do your time. Now, shit can happen along the way, but it is what it is. So when Johnny Lewis played that role, his first impression was garbage, you know, but that was a movie. You know, that's not real life. But in real life, you know, this guy was actually catching assaults. He was actually beating people up. He actually caught a murder case. Man, it seemed like his life spiraled out of control at the very end. And then we'll never know how he lost his life. Did he actually jump to his own perilous demise, or, you know, did he just slip trying to get away? I've jumped out of a 2-story building. Facts. I'm not lying. This ain't no bullshit. You know, the bottom of my bone on my fucking, not my ankle, but my heel bone was connected to my ankle bone, was hurt. Right. I was mobbing down the street trying to get away. So I've been there. I've done that. But again, I can see where if you slip, you know, you fall the wrong angle, neck gone. That's it. Anyway, so for those of you that ever wondered who Johnny Lewis was, you know, I know a lot of people watch Sons of Anarchy, the Felon movie. You know, that was his life, man. He is another casualty of Hollywood. He's another casualty of being up, being recognized, having a good career. You know, he was in several other movies. You have to look into it. And then gone. You know, the rise and fall. It happens all the time. Anyways, man, I hope you enjoyed the little spiel, man. Just a quick little profile on Johnny Lewis. Like I said, you know, we'll never know why he killed that landlady, what the argument was over. Maybe he wasn't trying to pay rent. Maybe he caught her fucking looking at his peep out through the window. We don't know. Condolences to everyone that lost their life, but at the same time, it's just a trip. How life is, you know, how people that you see, you never know what they're going through in real life, man. That's like people that watch me. They see me, I'm happy, I'm having a good time, but they don't know what it really is, you know. And it's hard to explain to people that can't, you know, familiarize themselves with what you're going through. Everyone's going through their own emotions, man. That's why I have respect for everyone, because I understand that everyone has something bad going on or something good going on, and it is what it is. With that being said, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose, get everything that you want coming. And remember, at the end of the day, it's all about the struggle, to strive, to struggle. I highly appreciate everybody who's been supporting me. Gunners Collective TV, we're going to continue to get this in. And to all those, man, that keep supporting and showing love, man, you're a true blessing. I appreciate the raza. Thumbs up and thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to do what I have to do, man, to maintain, drop the best content I possibly can, and show respect to everybody. And it's in that fashion, man. I appreciate you guys. Bang, bang.